Peace to the saints.
We got a crazy show here today. I can't wait. I can't wait because the comments are fascinating.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
We got some great questions. We're going to get into it. Let me do my classic intro. I'm going to do the short version because today it's all about Coach Greg Adams. You dig? Marquettdavon Burton, the saint and the sinner, giving you lessons from a. Well, we're not going to say that today. We're not trying to get censored. We're just trying to kick this game. Let me get these bottles out of here. They ain't paying for no promo. You heard me? Now we got Coach Greg Adams in here, the big dog, the veteran, the OG, the sage, the wise man. So much game. Coach, go ahead and give him your intro. I've linked his book in the description. Tremendous amount of information. I got a signed copy here, which I cannot wait to read. Tell the saints a little bit about yourself, and we're going to get into the interview questions, and you guys drive the interview, sending your super chats, PayPals, Cash Apps, and tell us what to talk about.
All right, Coach Greg Adams back in here with another YouTube live stream. We with peace to the saints in the building. Man, listen, free agent lifestyle, as you can see, is on my shirt. It's everywhere. That's the brand. That is the label. Everybody can look at it. It's a philosophy. You know, so it's a philosophy within a philosophy. It started off as me going your own way. And people typically transition into some sort of other type of lifestyle. So in essence, the free agent lifestyle, people get it misconstrued. They think it's me telling you not to deal with women at all. But we're telling men that in essence, we know what you want. You want peace, quiet, and freedom. Typically, when you're dealing with the Western woman, you're not going to get any of that if you don't have leverage and options. So I'm telling men, remove yourself from a certain perspective in order to get the leverage and options you need. And as a, like, you know, free agent lifestyle, free agent in sports, right? Football, basketball, they typically in the last year of their contract can improve their status and for another team to pick them up, right? So then if that team picks them up, you're probably going to get the best offers you possibly can. So you remove yourself, work on yourself, take a year, take 6 months, whatever you need to do, work on yourself, then put yourself back out in the market. And then I guarantee you, if you have the leverage and options, you'll get the deal that you want.
So I see where there's some philosophical divergence here.
Yep.
So I see why the folks are like, okay, this is going to be a good conversation. So, because initially when I was hearing the concept free agent, I was like, the free agent ain't got a team. So initially everyone's like, okay, this is a bad thing because a free agent doesn't have a team. And the idea is that you always want to be aligned with the team, right? And in this case, you're talking about maybe stepping away from a female. So I think that's where they're looking at the ideological difference. Right. Whereas I say, you know, a lot of guys saying, go get your money right and then get you a female. And I say, get you a female to help you get your money right.
I see. Okay, you know so that's where. Okay,
Talk
so that's where the divergence is. So a lot of men, you know, that requires a certain type of man. You know, some men can do something like that, and I think not a lot of men can do something like that unless they have some direction, right? So a lot of guys are misguided themselves in trying to get that, and they might be trying to mimic or copy a personality, maybe me or you, but they don't have the ability because the component that requires is a small component, but there's other components that if they have the absence of that component, they may not be successful. Let me just give you an example. So let's just say you had game, and people have always looks, money, status, game, personality. What's more important? And they might say, what's more important to the woman? Well, for me, I say, what's more important to you?
Okay.
Right. So they might say, well, in the absence of height, in the absence of money, in the absence of personality status, I'm going to overindulge in game. And I'm going to say, you're going to make a mistake because you're going to need one of these things at some point, or you're going to lose the woman, which then is require you to invest more time in replacing the woman. So it becomes a situation where they're constantly juggling and finding themselves because what they're trying to find is the woman, which you're telling them to find. But I say that's the distraction because the woman doesn't offer that much value to you in the short term. You might think so, but in the long term, yes, you see where it is. In the short term, she doesn't provide that much value to you.
Coach Greg Adams needs some ism. Coach Greg Adams needs some ism. Okay, this is going to be good.
This is going to be good.
Yeah. This is going to be good. Oh, man, there's so much to go through here.
Yeah.
Look, and I don't
this is why people are going to be
right.
This is why
my mouth is watering. Look, my mouth is watering for it. And El Jefe writes, thank you for bringing Coach Greg Adams on. And we are about to get into some high-level intellectual game, you did, because We got to chop it up.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Yeah, this
Lord, we got to chop it up.
By the end of this, people will have a chance to go, all right, which way do I want to go with this?
Right, because it sounds it even sounds like you were edging on that MGTOW, that men going their own way piece.
That's how I came in.
Ooh,
to
Lord,
the space.
Lordy, Lord.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people get a misunderstanding of what it is. I think they provided a lot of value to the community because at the time there were people trying to do things. At the time they came in, it was mostly PUA, right? So it was mostly PUA and game. And what I said earlier, a lot of guys weren't capable of doing that, and they got their ass handed to them.
Okay.
And so what they brought in was a more logical discussion and a lot of people to understand what was what. Meaning, like, for instance, they brought in a lot of things like testing, right? So a lot of guys didn't really understand what that was. People just told them to look over it. And then the guys that got manipulated trying to go PUA, you eventually saw them migrate into going your own way. And then they eventually graduated out from what they learned from their in-field experience, as you call it, as people call it, in-field.
Right. All these terms are quite comical to me. But number one, when we're looking at the folks who went PUA, I think that was a failing situation from the start because the most player people I know in real life,
you're about to hit it.
None of them are in the internet.
So let me interrupt you on this one. And I think that's where the misleading was. Okay. So and this is what I go in on when I talk about PUAs, because there's a lot of guys on here that are talking about game that shouldn't even open their mouth. They shouldn't even part their lips.
Correct.
And I've been saying that about that. So a lot of people do follow this and don't think we diverge, because I diverge with them.
Okay.
I'm in a battle with them in terms of you're misleading men. I know if we were out together, you wouldn't get 1-304.
Right.
Not even one.
Right.
But a lot of guys listen and invest in those guys.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem is. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So these guys are turbo nerds pretending to be that something that they're not. Right?
Correct.
And I've seen a lot of these folks in real life, these PUA guys.
Correct.
It's comedy to me.
Sure.
And the Saints who've been to the conference, you dig, we go out on a Friday, Saturday, and we shooting game all over the place. So it's real live and cracking, you dig?
Right.
So there's no faking and pretending. There's no stage, nothing like hidden mic. No. We going out kicking real game.
That's what I talk about.
We mess around and slayed a couple slores, you dig, at the last conference, if you know what I mean, you dig. Check out patreon.com/the Saint in the Center if you want the player story on the back end.
Comes in. Peace to the Saints. Marquette, I got to press Coach G. Adams for a quick second and ask him, why does he keep associating with Donovan Sharpe, who lied about dating a single mother for years? That ain't what Saints do. Peace to the Saints. I think he meant peace to the Saints.
Whoa. Hold on. See, now I have to admit my ignorance, because admittedly, I don't know a lot about this manosphere or the internet space. So sometimes they might say Donovan Sharpe. And I've definitely heard that name, but I've never seen the content. I don't necessarily know what he makes content about. Am I assuming rightly that he's a pickup artist, or?
I would say he provides dating advice or dating coaching.
Okay.
Dating coach. Yeah.
Dating coaching.
Yeah. Dating
so
coach.
He's saying, if you want to figure out how to crack you a female, I can tell you how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was dating a single mother for years. Is this factual?
That's what people are saying. I have no idea.
You don't know?
I don't think he's dating a single mother, but people on the internet would tend to believe that. So if that's what you believe, that's what you believe.
Okay. So this is your partner.
I wouldn't say it's my partner. I associate with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Business associate, at
Correct.
least. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not necessarily a friend that you know close, but definitely a business associate.
I don't speak for him.
Okay.
He speaks for himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're saying that this gentleman has been dealing with a single mom.
Correct.
And you're saying, I don't know that to be the case.
I've seen them in person.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Oh, you saw these two together?
Absolutely.
Oh, so this is like a known woman.
She's known on the internet.
This is a known character.
Yeah. I mean, she's a part of his show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a part of the show. She was hidden at one particular point.
Wow.
In my opinion, it's like this. Donovan's not here to speak for it.
Yeah.
He spoke on this, and he said whatever they're saying is not true.
Okay, so he said he's not dating her, or she's not a single mother?
Both or all. I have no idea.
Look, so Donovan Sharpe, bro, you need to pull up. People didn't call your name out. You need to pull up.
So here's how it's going around. There's a lot of information. One person saying this is not true. Right. The other persons are saying this is true about him. And people have all of their data and facts or whatever they're doing. Okay. And my opinion is, just as I'm talking to you, and you might be putting women out on the street on Figueroa, right?
Fig.
Just on Fig,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And then I go back to my show, and they say, why would you associate with him when he puts women out on Fig? That's not my business. That's your business, right?
Yeah, I think unless
It's like
someone
we
is,
lost something.
I think unless someone is, say, doing something that's completely reprehensible, like they're engaging in like sex crimes,
Correct.
or they're a snitch, then otherwise, it's business.
It's business.
And I think that a lot of guys need to respect that. Now, if something transgresses your values, like your deeply held values, that's one thing.
Right.
But within the assassin, we always say we got a 3-sentence Bible, right? Which is number 1, be yourself. Number 2, be good to yourself. And number 3, be good to good people. Which is to say that just as you want to be yourself, you got to let other people be themselves.
Right.
I don't drink. I'm not going to tell you, oh, don't order any alcohol while we're having dinner. I'm gonna let you do what you do. Yep. So if Brother Sharpe want to slay him some single mother vagina,
leave, have at it.
Hey, go ahead, bro.
It's in this time that I've been on here, I've associated with quite a few people that have, polar opposite topics or polar opposite belief systems. Mm-hmm. So I'm not responsible for what he does in his personal life. I do say, for instance, I don't think a guy should do that, but that's his business if that's what he wants to do.
Right. Okay. So there you have it right there, folks. And I personally don't know Donovan Sharpe, and I do give an invite if he wants to call in.
Yeah, sure.
If he wants to call in. And if he wants to come on the show, I'd love to host him, whether it's remotely or in studio, because these things entertain the hell out of me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right.
This stuff is entertaining. They basically saying like he's not the genuine article in terms of like, cool. Because he's maintaining a situation where it'd be one thing if he just mashed her and dashed her. You heard me? If he slayed her and played her.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be a different thing. Understood. He writes, Peace of the Saints. I can tell this discussion is going to be fire. Oh, it indeed is going to be fire. Because this man that mentioned men going their own way. And I like to flip it up to men leading the way. The way I look at it is there's a couple issues. Number one, MGTOW, red pill, a lot of these things are not proper philosophies. And as much as there's no chief philosopher.
Correct.
There's no organization behind it. There's no headquarters. It's a fuzzy system, not even system. It's a fuzzy grouping of loose ideas that people follow and interpret in different ways. And then when you look at men going their own way, what it really seems to me is that it's men who have suffered rejection, not been able to manage rejection appropriately. And then they have retreated to the idea of, I don't need women.
That could be true. But now for all, I don't want to sound like not all women, but what I would say is there's a grouping, there's particularly people that will come to this, and there's, let's say you're correct, there's no leader, there's no philosopher, there's no chief person that they can say this person is, but I think that was by design because of many men that come in, they basically were thinking about it. Maybe you got divorced. Mm-hmm. Which is a kind of a source of rejection, if you will, or they got manipulated by the family court system. So they might not fall under the belief system or what you believe would be a guy that went his own way. He's retreating because he's being manipulated by social systems that forced him to say, I need to remove myself or I need to go my own way for a period of time. So that does happen. What you're talking about or describing, those are true. But I also know that people don't want a chief. They don't want a head philosopher because then it makes it easier for, let's just say, for instance, Donovan's the chief guy.
Okay.
Then he's easily be able to torn down, thus tearing down the philosophy. So it is actually more important to not have a chief person.
Coach.
Yeah. You know what? That's basically where we're at.
Coach.
You don't need a leader.
That's ironic because you go by the name Coach.
Correct.
Which a coach is a leader.
The leader for a team.
For a team, right? And the team, right? So in this case, the MGTOW boys, the red pill boys, the incel boys, whatever this group is.
Well, there's no incels in there. But...
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. Did I throw it in there on the low?
I wouldn't throw it in there. Yeah.
Look, yeah. But whatever the case is, I think it's ironic that you go by the term coach, which is a leader, and you're suggesting that these folks don't want a leader. What we can observe in all nations, all groupings of people, they actually desperately hunger for leadership. And the world is devoid of leadership. And when you find weak leadership, like say Joe Biden, you find that things begin to go awry, like macroeconomics are in decline right now. Leaders are necessary. The problem is that when you have leaders who have been in that position, but they're undeserving. So, and I'm not talking about Donovan Sharpe in particular. I don't even know who this guy is, but if you have someone who says that they stand for X, but they really don't, then
Well,
that's
then
when you
it's-
have the decay of the movement itself.
Correctly.
The problem with today in social media is that you couldn't even have a Jesus or a Prophet Muhammad today because chicks would be hashtag me too in the Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon them. You heard me?
Well, I always say that. I said if we call him cheese, but I said if Christ came down, he'd
Yeah.
be crucified again without a doubt in this culture.
Quickly.
It'd be over. And a lot of people get offended by that.
In a real way.
But that's kind of the point that we're making here. In this time, it's difficult. You don't want to be an easy target by putting one up right now. Maybe later, and maybe it's you, maybe it's me. But I think right now, this is, and you know, we can disagree, but the point is we live in interesting times.
Fascinating times.
We live in some interesting times. So we have a lot of men misguided, undecided. They don't know where to go.
Right.
And we're providing that for the first time in an unorganized way. It's very unorganized what we're doing. And not only that,
When you say we, are you talking about the, like, who's the we?
Who is we? The men that are the voices that are kind of up front.
Okay.
Right. And so since it's unorganized, there's no one leader. A lot of men get to choose which voice and place they want to follow, right? Person they want to follow.
Yeah.
So it's right now, it's probably a point where you don't want one leader because it's pretty new right now. But over time, you could get that. But right now, I'm going to tell you what, in this sphere, anytime someone says, I'm the leader, I'm the president.
Is anyone saying that?
There's a bunch of people saying it.
Who's saying that, real quick?
There's people that say they're the Godfather. There's people that say that
this man digging up the dead. You go. I thought I was ruthless.
Listen,
I thought I was ruthless.
Hey, listen, there's multiple men saying they're the Godfather,
Name,
and they have no
name me
business.
one.
They have no business saying it.
Name me one.
But we had Kevin.
Okay.
There's a guy named Rollo Twasi that says he's a Godfather as well.
You know what? It's very petty to judge people based on their appearance,
which we talked about.
God damn it! But God, I want to know who following that boy. Well, I swear to God, I saw him on Forensic Files. He didn't chop up four hoes. Look, look, and shout out to Rolo. I'm happy to host you and have a conversation. I hope he got thick skin, because I love to crack a joke. I mean, feel free to talk about my mustache in return, but Lord Jesus, I don't know who then followed him to crack a female.
Well, I mean, I've been asking that for a long time. And so that's why there's no leadership, because, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, there's people that shouldn't be parting their lips about certain subject matter, but they are, you know what I mean? And so what we have is Godfathers in here. We have presidents, we have the leaders, we have the top dog, top G. I mean, a bunch of stuff.
And the top G. He threw another shot.
I'm not throwing shots, but
Coach Greg Adams going in today. I heard one person call themselves top G. So, one person in particular, he throwing shots. Go ahead, get him, Greg.
People think I'm throwing shots, but what I'm saying is, I think over time, essentially, what's going to happen to those guys is they immediately get shot down after a while, because
shot down by the internal folks,
either internal or external. And so when that happens, what happens is the philosophy gets wrecked, whatever it is. Many men fall because they follow that guy, and then somehow he gets exposed, and then the rest of everyone looks bad. Let's just say, for instance, a young man was to say he was somewhat of a leader in this sphere.
Sure.
And he harms someone in the real world.
What do you mean, like an assault?
Or he does something, bigger than an assault, like we talked about that happened in Vegas. He goes out and he harms multiple people.
Yeah, he was wilding out.
He wilds out. What would happen? You would have a fallout. And that's essentially happened probably since 2016. There have been men that said, hey, I'm the voice. They would go get interviewed on the platform like CNN.
Yeah.
And then they would get chopped into pieces. And then what would happen is everybody would lose their channel overnight, because YouTube would say, oh,
you're associated with this.
You're associated. All these people, MGTOW, Free Agent Lifestyle, Peace to the Saints, everybody gets hammered because this person stuck their neck out here. So I'm saying at this particular point, it's probably not good for us.
Curious. The UK economist writes, Greg Adams' marriage wheel is legendary. Well, let's talk about it. What is the marriage wheel?
The marriage wheel is basically the predictor of most, if not all, marriages. It's what I call the spoiler alert of marriages.
Okay.
So what you're basically going to find out is there's a formula to marriage in order to keep it working, which you have to connect. Connection phase is number one.
Okay.
Obviously, that's simple. Most people can do that. You do it at a 99% failure rate, but most people can do that.
All right.
Once they get to that particular phase, you got to go through the investment stage, and when which the man has to start investing to keep the ball rolling, right?
Investing what sense?
Investing in all senses. So there has to be production of children. There has to be investment into those children. there has to be home purchases, or at least considering that
Like financial
investment, cars, vacations. You got to keep this ball up, and particularly
okay. I'm getting stressed out listening to this.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, exactly. So this is,
I got a bathroom break right now.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so if you don't give that investment, the marriage is over, right?
Oh,
it's pretty much going to be over. So now, if you do create that investment, which most men do, especially if there's children, you're going to go through the next phase, and which is the bait and switch, which essentially,
they didn't set you up.
So essentially, in the court systems, where 50% plus divorce rate, you have 70% of people who have been in marriages have at least talked to a divorce attorney. At that particular point, now you have, hey, if she changes the rule of the game and you don't change with her, you lose the investment. This is typically what's happening in our marital system. So I tell people that that's going to come. She's either become a feminist, or the real feminist that was in her that she hid in order to get the investment will show up. If you don't go along with her plan, you go to stage number 4, which is the disengagement stage. And thus you pay for play. You're going to pay a hefty check in the end. And
to her,
to the system, to the state. Everybody benefits
except you.
Yeah,
you're the one paying.
And then you lose your kids and so forth. So
you said, and then your children are gone.
Yeah, your children are gone.
Some men are like, hallelujah, that was the only good part of the deal.
Yeah, but you gonna pay for them though if you lose.
Oh no, say it ain't so. Rob writes, peace to the saints. Coach, I got great respect for you and believe you are a wise man. But I believe the right man can mold a woman to be an asset to him and make him greater. The woman is created for the man. What say you?
Is he a Bible thumper? Is that the woman's created for the man? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't.
Might be a lukewarm Christian. We talk about them too. The lukewarms. He's fired up about the Lord. So, but no, I'm just saying. In this particular stance, what you're saying is, you're reading from the Bible and saying that type of stuff. Hey, whatever your belief system is, it is what it is. At this particular point, I would say there are some elite men out here. There are some elite men that understand what it is. And if you come in beforehand and really lay down the rules and understand what it is and leverage yourself and you have options, absolutely. But we're talking about a select few of men.
So you're saying what you speak to is for the average man's consumption.
Well, if I made this for the non-average man, I might be out of business.
Gotcha. Well, I don't think that's the case, because
not necessarily, but you know what I mean.
No, it's not the case, because we find that a lot of people don't have accurate sense of self. They can't look in the mirror and see what's really there. The female and the male in our society. And in fact, one of the things that made him so popular is because he told a great lie. He looked into the German people and said, you are the best of all peoples.
Right.
You're the best looking. You're the most intelligent. You're the most industrious. That was a lie.
That was a lie.
But he told
everybody know that. Yes. And they tried to actually carry that out through eugenics and whatnot. And it was failed. It was a failed system.
It was a lie, but the German people bought into it at a level that made them start an entire world war, and even went Tupac, us against everybody. So they bought into it at a deep psychological level, which is to say that yes, you can sell very well by telling lies. And I think that's one of the comedies of the internet. You even have folks telling young men that they're high value when they're not high value at all.
Absolutely.
And then on the other side, you have women who think that they're queens when
absolutely
they would be peasants in a kingdom. You heard me.
Actually, we're on the, as much as you think we're not on the same page, we're pretty much speaking the same. I think where you might be diverging a little bit is on the principle of, like the guy said there, the woman that might be created for the man, and you can get him. I think a select few of guys can do that. And I always tell you, leveraging options is essential for that type of system. If you're in a feudal society, you have peasants. You have a lot of queens and sisters that would be in the peasantry and whatnot.
Most of them.
Yeah. But what would happen is the top people, the clergy, the people who are in the kingdom and so forth and so on, we can pick these people off. And that definitely is, they have the leverage and options. If you are out there with the rake next to the peasants, probably not so much. It's going to take you some time.
I think you're right in that we do diverge on that, in as much as I'm certain that not all men might be able to have what I have in the way of women, or even the domination of large numbers of women, or even the level of domination of a single woman.
Yep.
However, I'm certain that every man can be the king in his home. You might be a janitor out in the world, but you can be a king in your home. And so I believe that every man should dominate his woman and keep his foot on her neck. And what's more, she should be pleased to have his foot on her neck.
Correct.
Okay, we agree there.
We agree. However, wait.
Internet, y'all told me we was enemies. We was ideological enemies. What are you doing agreeing with me? How dare you?
Here's where I say,
okay, go MGTOW.
Where you
go MGTOW.
Free agent.
You're right.
This is free agent lifestyle. This is free agent
lifestyle. What's the website if they want to cop one?
GregAdams1.com.
Greg Adams, the number one.
O-N-E spelled
O-N-E. Okay, Greg Adams, O-N-E if you want to cop the shirt.
Correct.
For sure. Okay.
Now, this is what I would say. I would add to that what you said.
Okay.
And then I would say, do not involve the legal system.
Bruh.
Do not involve.
Absolutely not. Look.
Well, okay, so people think we disagree.
Look.
Do not involve the legal system.
Coach, check me out. I don't mess with the government at such a serious level that when those they were giving out checks to help people keep their companies,
PPO, I can't remember. I did not go for any of that.
I said I will not accept your welfare for my businesses. Correct. I won't accept your welfare for me personally. My mom called me like, hey, they giving out everybody a check. My hairdresser's son ain't never worked in his life. He got a check. You better go apply. Yes. I was like, I don't care what they giving out. I said
the same thing.
I don't want it.
Correct.
I don't want it.
I wanted no parts of that. And I know people who did that, and a lot of people get in trouble. I'm like, I don't want the government to have my information unless they need it. In order to give that, you have to give them information about you. And I think that's a mistake. Yeah.
I think we can agree on that one is assassin or nothing. You dig. Marcos writes, peace to the Saints, tuition for the high level game while working on my online business. You did keep hustling. Zenaria writes, peace to the Saints, tuition. Yes, indeed, we all need this. Ism, go easy, Saint. Most men tell me they want to build first before getting a woman. I'm like, the ism says, get a woman to help you. Bruh, look, and this is the thing that trips me out. When I was a young boy, I was 16. I remember my mom said, Mark, your car's getting dirty. You ought to wash it. I said, you're right. Tiana, wash that car.
Correct.
And then I sat back and watched her wash that car. You heard me. And that's boss mentality.
Yes.
Which is there's anything that you can have someone else do. Oh, yes. You ought to. Mm-hmm. And the idea that you would waste the great resource of the female who is great with detail, who's very effective, especially when her emotions are engaged. I find it strange that someone's going to say, hey, I'm going to go build independently when you can build with someone in collaboration. I find that to be strange.
Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
I've been living it my whole life.
Now, this is where I will come in and say, how many women have you had to do that with? One?
Oh my goodness.
Or 100?
Oh my good. I couldn't even count them.
So that's where I would tell a guy, yes, you're saying get a woman to help you build. The problem with that is when we have the experiences that many men have experienced, they had that woman and then go back to the marriage wheel. Essentially, you'll have to replace that woman multiple times. There's not one, there's going to be multiple of those. Right. And then I would tell a guy, what did you get in the end? You got your car washed. So in that time, you got your car washed. However, you spent infinite amount of time instead of putting into you having to train another woman. And at that point, you didn't get he says, get a woman. I say you're going to get women. You're going to have to repeat that and duplicate that process, which is time consuming. And his then statement turns false when I say get women. You're gonna get women to help you, and she's not gonna help you build.
Coach, I don't know, Coach. It seems as though you're challenging the entire corporate model. So, for example, McDonald's, they base their whole program on creating systems wherein they can switch people in and out to do the work of the greater corporation, and the corporation nets the greatest benefit.
Correct.
You talk about you have to train the woman. But anytime you train someone, you're still saving yourself time because they can repeat the task that you train them to do. But more importantly, when you're having them do basic tasks, there's no training. Like, for example, in the case where she cleaned my car, she already knew how to clean a car better than I know how to clean a car, number one. And then number two, in the case of women who prepare your meals on a regular basis, women who do your scheduling, who handle all the things, call down and set up appointments, there's no training there, and you're just saving pure time. So the logic doesn't follow. Further, when you look at the corporate model, we're essentially talking about a boss that has employees, which is someone who's at the leadership position and has those working on their behalf. So if the structure that I described in the corporate setting, doesn't work in the personal setting, you're basically saying it's not productive to have someone else handle smaller affairs.
I like what you said here. So I'm going to add to this. See, it's close. We're close. We're close. In the corporate setting as well, you have high turnover rate at the certain levels. And also corporations lose money when they have to replace new employees, because simply many of the things the first couple of months, a person might be able to know how to do things. Let's say she knows how to wash a car, but does she know how to wash the car the way I need it? She may know how to cook, but does she know how to cook for me? So that is going to require no. This is absolute. This is absolute. So you brought in the corporate model. Corporations, when they replace an employee, they actually spend more to retain than they do to recruit.
Retention is a great thing.
Why? Because they've trained them in the essence of their corporation. They want that employee to drink that Kool-Aid. And when they bring in a new person, it actually costs them more. And so what guys are doing here is they're kind of bringing in certain things and trying to cover it as a one-all be-all, but it doesn't work that way.
So number one, you talk about the replacement of the female. There's one cost that you've overlooked.
What did I overlook?
So there's a certain piece that a man has. And gentlemen, I know you know when you've been missing this piece, when you had that hankering, maybe first thing in the morning, maybe late at night, you'd like to lay down with a woman to have the physical release.
Correct.
Then beyond that, there's another aspect that we also fail to mention enough, which is the emotional aspect of having that feminine energy there. You heard me? Being around a woman brings a peace itself. When you have an absence of that, you spend your time pursuing it and searching it out, or you spend your time with internet or masturbation, all of these things that have become vices in the absence of a decent woman. So there's actually a significant cost to not having a woman in play.
Could be. But most men require very little, right? We require peace, quiet, and freedom. Most women, because we talk about this, and this isn't just women, it's men. We kind of talked about this, but I missed the point. So I'm going to go back and reference it. We live in interesting times.
Yes, we do.
Most people believe that they're queens or kings and they're peons.
I don't know if people believe in their kings out here. I feel like it's mostly these slores out here is wildly overweight thinking they're queens. Which is bizarre. But go ahead.
But however, it also speaks to people don't even have home training at this particular point.
Factual.
Okay, so we agree on that.
Tell me more.
So their lack of home training, by the time they get to you, you're going to have to do such a deconstruction and a rebuild that, since our society does not have parental guidance, they also don't have father figures. They don't have a guy who stabilizes that woman and prepares that woman. You're going to have to deconstruct that person. It's going to take some time, man. I know in a perfect world, I know in a perfect world, it's like, oh, she's coming ready. She has a base.
So we have categories. We have categories, right?
Yeah.
Just like you don't take every interviewee and hire them. You don't take every interviewee and say, oh, you're C-suite material. You get to be the chief operations officer. No. Some people got to be the secretary. There are different roles for different persons. Exactly. Just like when you have women come into your influence, you say, okay, this girl's a jump off. You heard me? She might be a hit it and quit it.
Absolutely.
We ain't going to do nothing else with it. I'm going to pretend I don't know her when I see her. Or she might be in the category of limited association. She has some decent personality. Her morals are not completely destroyed.
Yep.
And she got some good cats. So she's going to be in limited association. You got a girl who's a side piece. You got women who are main pieces. The key is to properly categorize these women and limit their influence in your life only to the category you have put them in those fixed categories. And then you extract value appropriately.
What are your percentages on available women? I mean, this is just hypothetical. Yeah. What are your percentages on how many people would fall into this person can help me build?
That's a great question you ask, Coach. And depending on the man, the qualifications for the position are different. So for example, in my case, right, you're dealing with a guy who's internationally traveled, had offices around the world. So I need a woman to have a certain level of skills to be able to conduct my affairs.
Correct.
But I happen to be surrounded by that type of woman, right? You got to remember like where I'm moving at, right?
That sounds like what I was saying.
So I'm surrounded by that kind of woman, just as a guy who's in the earlier stages of his, economic adventure into wealth, he's around women who are appropriate for that level. So when you can take that woman, provide her with a little bit of ism and motivation, she can help get him to the next level. And here's the funny thing. Once she helps drive him to the next level, he might have to drop her off at the bus stop and pick up one who's can get to the next level. You see what I'm saying?
We're very close. I mean, I think we sound like we're far, but I think ultimately the call to action is where we differ.
Okay,
I would say in this situation, based on what he's saying right here, in the modern times, that would be foolish. And I would probably say he's never been married. He's probably never lived with a woman. He's never been in a long-term relationship. I'm going to probably say that. What he's saying is coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's what he's saying. And I guarantee you he has no receipts and no examples of what he speak of. So when you do provide some damn receipts and examples of what you speak of, you're just speaking coulda, woulda, shoulda. And we don't deal in coulda, woulda, shouldas. We
Coach want the fade. Coach said meet him in the parking lot.
Bring that ass. Yeah. Bring it over here. And let me know and show me examples. But we don't evaluate on what you could do. We evaluate on what's real.
Shout out to the free agents in here. The Baker writes, peace to the Saints. Coach Greg, do you believe? Do you believe paying for box is a stupid move?
Well, I mean, listen.
What'd you spend on that box, Coach?
What am I spending on it? Let me see. Let me look at that Cash App. Listen, I've spent.
Wait, these 304s taking Cash Apps now?
They doing Cash App.
Oh, they dangerous out here. They leaving paper trails. I got to operate in cash only.
COD,
no cash on delivery.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The most I've ever spent on box was probably $60,000, maybe about $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me more.
Yeah. It's called Marriage.
Okay.
And it's definitely a pay for play move. So yes, in that instance, it's a stupid move. But if you want me to go further, let me know.
Okay. Okay. All right. Shout out to Angry.
Shout out to the Angry Man.
Chidi writes, greetings to you both, Coach Greg. Just out of curiosity, the funniest questions start with that phrase.
Yeah, right. You already know where it's going. Yeah,
Lord, just out of curiosity, and they always say it like really calm, like, yeah, Coach. Just out of curiosity.
We always talk about debating tactics and.
Have you checked out of the dating market, or do you still date women?
It depends on what you mean date, but yes, I'm still involved. I'm still in the field. I still talk to women. I think a lot of people really don't understand. They think free agent. I'm in a corner with a light on like this. Yeah, talking, jacking off to the computer. I don't date in terms of how a normie, missing link, a knuckle dragger, a mouth breather would date. But yes. All right, Neanderthal. All right, ham and egger. You guys date. Hoping you invest $600, $700 into the woman. She pats you on your head like this, and then your ass back at home. All right, so I don't do that. No.
Checks and balances writes, peace to the Saints. Gotta disagree with CGA.
Okay,
it's been proven with paperwork that Donovan Sharpe has been dating a single mother for 5 years, half a decade, even though he tell his followers never to date him. Can't associate with a liar.
Man, let Donovan come on here and we can let us speak on himself. Listen, look, I've made great associations here on this platform in this situation, and if I'm going to be defined on Donovan Sharpe, I've done something wrong. You know, listen, if that's his business. I haven't followed the paperwork trail on myself. That's his business, man. Listen, I come on here and do interviews.
I hear you, bro. Billy Bob writes, peace to the Saints. My sister doesn't like my niece being out to 2 a.m. with her friends, but she's 18. What are your thoughts, Saints? I think I agree. In fact, I was with the Saint right here just last night. We're in the gym late at night. We in the gym getting some good work. And there's this thick little thought that was walking around. I was like, oh, she kind of thick, hella thick. But she was like walking outside the gym, just hanging out, sitting around outside. It's pitch black outside.
Right.
Nothing good is about to happen out there.
Only bad.
You know what I'm saying?
Only bad.
And that's the kind of female that I was like, she's thick, but I wouldn't even waste time hollering at her because she's up to no good. And she's an idler. She got all the time in the world, apparently, which is problematic.
Right.
And she don't know how to go in the house and sit down somewhere.
Sure.
So generally speaking, that's a terrible thing. And at certain hours a day, I don't think her daughter's in Starbucks. You heard me? Her daughter ain't in the library at 2 a.m. She up in the club listening to Draco. You dig?
Right.
So I think it's a terrible thing. And the truth is, as they say, you can't take the hood out of the boy once you take the boy out of the hood. Well, you can't take the hoe out of some chicks. I mean, if it's in there, I'm no disrespect to your family, but if it's in there, it's in there. You know what I'm saying? But I think sometimes we're missing the education, right?
again, we don't have that leadership, that guidance. I
Mm.
mean, if she had a father, that would be an easily solvable situation. Even though she's 18, you know, there's some women don't belong out at night at certain times of the hour. You know what I mean?
99.9% of
So
them.
because then something's gonna bad happen, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna want me to put my cape in and come to the rescue. And I say that was her decision.
That's
I don't
right.
care if she was a man or a woman. She put herself in that position, so I don't cape. But if she gonna be out there, I'm gonna clap them cheeks and I'm gonna send her home with a bowl of jasmine rice and a fistful of 20s at the end of the day. So that's gonna be the end of that.
Oh no. John writes, should you do business with an ex-girlfriend if her skills are still useful? We had a break, but she seems to want to come back and contribute.
I don't think that's a good idea. Exes serve a purpose there in the past.
I tend to agree. If she came back, the most I might accept is some brain and some fire poon. But beyond that,
that's the end of it.
I can't have you getting mixed up with my money, because generally speaking, we broke up for a reason, and that creates a sour taste in your mouth. And so she's probably looking at you in a certain fixed way that won't change, even based on if you've evolved or even based on if you were never the person she claimed you were.
Right.
So I go ahead and leave that.
Can I add one more thing on that one? Because a lot of guys don't understand, you know, women can be manipulative. So if she's coming back into your life, what is her motives? To get to your paper, to build you up, to just, you know, destroy you, to get you to take some damn antifreeze. We don't know why she's coming back. So I'm gonna protect myself. She belongs in the past.
Hey, look, how that chick call 1-800 CGA hotline, and he gonna vet her for you. You did.
Yeah.
James writes, Coach is just Coach is just bitter because his wife forced him into debt. Dang.
Yeah.
Even though someone told him before their engagement that she had mental issues. Hashtag vetting. Peace to the saints. They speak in their mind. What?
He deserves to speak
man
his
then
mind.
said some. Go ahead, Coach.
He deserves to speak his mind. I often find it ironic that many people who talk like that to me don't have no picture on their damn thumbnail. All right. So obviously that fat boy sitting over there, you know, he's sitting over there wishing he was me.
Okay.
You clicked on my face today. Well, congratulations. All right. That's enough said about that. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me showing up on this show. All right. What would you be doing with your day? That's what I have to say about that. But anyway, let's just handle what he said here.
Okay.
Essentially what he went into is the common, bitter, and all of these things. Well, listen, we try to warn men about these situations. This is why I'm here.
When you're saying we, you're talking about like the manosphere, or the free agent,
like me, myself. So what I'm doing is, you would hope that there's a person like me speaking out on these issues, so you don't walk into issues like that.
All right.
So you know, I tell people where my flaws were. I tell people where my mistakes from. But what he tried to do was put the mistake back on me when I've already admitted the flaw. It's already in the book, sir. So what were you trying to accomplish? All right, you were trying to accomplish to try to one up and potentially embarrass me, but I've already spoken on the issues. I've actually had it published and all of that stuff. So there's no bitterness other than the male jealousy that you might be trying to do to show me up. But the mistakes have already been admitted. And since I made the mistakes, I made them before you to give you this advice. So that's okay. Yeah. Some men need to learn. And obviously his father went out for milk, did not come back. All right, but it's okay.
Joe Cole writes, Coach, what's your theory on the various beefs and disagreements in the manosphere?
There should be disagreements.
You said there should be.
There should be. I mean, everyone should challenge everybody. We're sitting right here and we're challenging each other, but because we're leaders, generals, we're not taking it and, you know what I mean? We're not going to sit back and go, oh, you know, and cry about it. We're doing it face to face.
Right.
We're here and we can have these disagreements. So there should be disagreements. I think when it escalates into beef,
right,
particularly where you're making 2, 3, 4, 8 videos about a person, a guy is basically, you know, they may be taking shots. Sneak dissing is okay, I get that, but they're behind flagging your videos and trying to remove you down. I think that's feminine behavior, and a lot of these guys, I know exactly who these people are, saying you're following them. All right, we're very feminine behavior, but then they come up here talking about their alpha, and they act like women on the back end. So that I can't respect.
Agree. Checks and Balances is back. He writes, why not just have trusts, offshore accounts, and prenup for asset protection if you want marriage? This is what the top 1% do. It's all legal, protects you 1,000%. Courts can't touch trust / offshore accounts. It's not entirely true, but I think that it's not entirely true. But the fact is, if you refrain from getting legally married, that would be your first major step in protection. And one thing I tell the saints is that I prefer to have a woman who's wealthy and beautiful. You heard me?
That would be nice.
And if I had to pick one, I'm always going for wealthy. Let us mess around and divorce. She needs to be worried about her assets. You dig what I'm saying?
Well, that would be the smartest way to do it.
Yeah, keep these broke 304s away from your boy. Exactly. You dig? Rated writes, peace to the saints. Questions. I have come across a woman that was raised a Jehovah's Witness, a sheltered life. She's 26, beautiful, Mexican, traditional. I'm in Texas. How do I shield her from modern day corruption? You cannot.
Jesus Christ. So we call this the hope strategy. You know what I mean? These people are throwing hope at the board. Dang. And so a lot of guys that think, you know, that we don't have this ism over here. We got the ism. You live in the hope strategy, man. Come on, man. Essentially what's happening is the modern world is corrupt. All right. The modern world is out to corrupt your women. Even if you have daughters, they're out to get your daughters, man. They're out for your children. So they're out to corrupt the mindset of all women. And if you bring her into this modern world, what we call the Western world or America, the great Babylon, she's going to get destroyed and manipulated. And listen, Eddie Murphy said this in his stand-up back in the day where he brought Mfufu over and then he came over and then she started kicking with the American women. Eventually that's going to happen. She's already been sheltered. So I think that's a red flag. All right. She's going to want to see what them streets is about at some particular point. If in certain situations, she's going to get tempted. And now you gotta probably try to mitigate that disaster or that damage.
I think you rightly assess that he is seeking to continue keeping the wool over her eyes. Correct. Which is not going to work.
That's not going to work.
Never play any game from a position of fear. Always play a game from a position of confidence and utilize the best strategy possible and leave everything on the field. That's in life in general. She's truly adopted those values of a Jehovah's Witness. These are fairly conservative people. I actually know a young lady who was obsessed with your boy in high school, a little thick, little red bone named Rebecca. Shout out, baby, if you're watching. They actually excommunicated her out the church.
Messing with you?
Nah, she couldn't mess with the. She wasn't qualified. Yeah, she wasn't on the level, but they excommunicated her because she ended up getting pregnant by some cat, right? So they excommunicated
that'll
her.
Do it.
Yeah, and clearly, you know, I wasn't about to be one of those types, you know, going in there raw, end up like Willie Lump. So, but the point is this. That's a very conservative practice, just as the Mormons are. So if she grew up and she actually subscribed to those values, nothing on the outside can shake that which is inside if it's real. You see, you don't put a Mormon in a crack house and they just start sniffing crack.
Right.
You know,
it's going to take some time. If it gets there. I lived in Salt Lake City, so I lived in there for a short period. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So which is to say that if you put a good person in a bad situation, they're not going to become that situation.
Sure.
Certainly females are creatures who are, you know, subject to influence, but the key is to make sure that you keep her in the proper society. I think you'll be all right if that's really who she is. Some people are raised within these religious communities and that's not really who they are.
Correct. I was going to say that as you were speaking that. I was like, well, sometimes a teenager just following because of the family's following, right? And they really want to break out from that. And so that would be common. Maybe she was raised that way and she believes that that's not her belief system. So you could have one of those as well.
Yeah, I like the fundamentals. She says she's Mexican too. That's a plus. Roberto writes, I love this civil dialogue. Yeah, we actually had a fight before it started. That's why it's civil now. We fought first.
We calmed it down.
That's how we do it. You know what I'm saying? I love this civil dialogue. Leave it up to the viewers to decide what they believe. Yeah, the right one's going to follow me. The wrong one's going to follow.
Well, you know what's going to happen. You know, I think what typically happens, you know, there are some people who are more, the message for me is more palpable, probably the majority of the audience, right? And then they're going to find that your stuff is something that they can digest. I think ultimately what happens is, you know, our audience is mixed.
Right.
You know what I mean? People watch me, and then as soon as I'm done, they'll go over and watch you. So they'll take a little bit from me and a little bit for you and create their own philosophy. This is kind of how I came about. I came in under, hey, this is what I needed. And then I was like, I need a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably what
I agree with you there. Anthony writes, what are both of your thoughts on the chances of getting a #MeToo case? Is this a big problem when dealing with women, or is it blown out of proportion?
Yeah, that's a fear of a lot of men. I think obviously the targets of Me Too are successful men. So it's typically if you're non-successful, say for instance, some of these people are getting 45-year Me Too, and you reached age of 65 or 70 and you're a loser, you're not getting one, right? But let's just say you actually become someone then the likelihood of that happening is high. It could be happening for your own family. I think there's a
your own family.
Ricky Martin. What's the guy name from Menudo? Ricky Martin, if I'm not saying this right. He supposedly has some sort of thing with a male cousin. It's out of control. And so this might have happened 25 years ago.
Out of control.
So it's situations like that. If you're a nobody, I wouldn't worry about it. If you aspire to achieve to be a nobody, I wouldn't worry about it. However, if you think you're going to be somebody in the future, I would plan accordingly.
I agree with you there. I think the truth is that, number one, #MeToo is a social media creation. It's a media thing. So the news bases their revenue on jarring, sensational titles and topics that get your attention. So you tend to think these things occur more than they actually do. Just like, people going Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah. Like, you think it occurs all the time. When you look at the data, it's actually extremely rare. And I think that's true of the #MeToo in reality. There are some folks who are quite criminal and they're guilty of what they've been accused of. You know what I mean?
So
some of them are guilty.
Too, right, right.
But in reality, I think that if you're a man who is wise, you became wealthy because you are wise, you have the discernment to select between women. For example, recently at patreon.com/thesaintandthecenter, I published a player story where a chick had said something that let me know straight away, like, you would be the type to #MeToo a brother like me. So I moved her out of the way ASAP.
Right.
And that's the first time I've encountered a woman of that nature in my entire year, all my years of operating. Right. And I got her out the way ASAP. So there's a certain wisdom that comes with that. And the key is, like, watch the company you keep and also make sure that the people around you have love in their hearts, not envy.
Sure.
Because you don't need them setting you up.
Yeah, and there's some people there's some people, men and women, that can come with that as well. I think one more thing I want to add to that is the context is always different as well. So context does change over time, but also because the act could have been consensual, or they could keep the information out. Let's say, for instance, hey, Quaaludes. Everybody, he gave him Quaaludes. Well, that was the party drug. That's like them saying you gave him Molly or weed. Yeah. Okay, this is in our culture.
They probably asked for him,
and they probably asked for him. And I don't know about you, it's not that often that I'm around celebrities, but women keep finding themselves around celebrities. Isn't that interesting?
Magically.
I mean, so why were they there? And so when you bring up these questions, then they say #believe all women. You can't ask any questions. So what I'm telling guys is context. In our time, it's 5 years ago, you could have said, I gave my girl a model and she didn't know it. Guess what?
Right.
You can't do that today.
Right.
So now, when you apply a different context or a different time and you have a different generation looking back, I actually find it interesting. Young people look at Eminem and they're going to dissect this music like crazy. Well, I'm like, wasn't he relevant 10 years ago? And he wasn't. It was 20, 25 years ago. And the new generation is now looking at what he said.
Right.
So that's what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a different context. They're applying what was fair in your time, and it's now foul in a different context. So you do have to worry about that if you are somebody of substance.
I think that if you're someone of substance playing the game at the boss level, you've made appropriate plans.
Sure. Absolutely.
One thing, shout out to Hunter Biden, who's a total dirtbag. Shout out to dirtbag Hunter Biden, because this is what he did. And I want you guys to learn from this. He's broken damn near every law there is to break in terms of civil conduct and criminal conduct.
Absolutely.
Right. And he did it on video camera. Like, he recorded himself like weighing up illicit drugs, but it's okay because he's in the power class.
Yes.
So what my goal is to do is to accumulate wealth and power and organization such that we are the untouchables. We're not the rule followers, but rather the rule makers.
Gosh, I mean, that's you speaking right now. That's exactly what I was talking about that today with my audience. Like, that's where you got to get.
Shout out to the Saint Center Nation. You did. We protected out here. Moto SVRF writes, but coach, she thick.
Yeah, that's what we say. That's the bailout for most men.
Yeah, ain't it? It's sad. That'll catch you.
It is.
That's led to the ruin of many a man.
She thick. She thick. I'm gonna go in, and then you trying to backtrack. Tough.
She thick could be something that get you killed, get you on alimony, get you divorced.
Child support, divorce.
Solon writes, apologies for the wording. I was talking about the mentality of stubbornness, when to tell, keep going on a path you walked or switch from it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you might be looking at stubbornness as a flaw. Mm-hmm. It could be a personality flaw, or could be a characteristic that you could use to your advantage. So you just got to figure out who you are. I think it might be stubbornness. Somebody might be defining you as stubbornness, but you're on your square. I'm trying to figure out where that is. But
my best advice for you is get around people who are successful. You admire their life, not what they're portraying, not the image, but the substance of how they live on a regular basis, and get some mentorship or some feedback, like whether it's your father, your uncle, or a success coach, someone you admire, get them to give you an analysis of where you're at. Because as they say, even a brain surgeon can't do brain surgery on themselves.
Correct.
Timothy writes, CGA has helped me vet out women, and I've dodged all types of bullets thanks to him. Coach is the truth.
Appreciate you, brother.
There you go. And it's also important to acknowledge that you have experience.
This is what a lot of young men are missing because, they think they could tell their uncle and their father who have the experience what the hell to do here. And you sitting around here living at your mama's house trying to tell me what to do. And we have the experience to try to safeguard you. I'm here to safeguard you. I'm not a braggart. I am, a little bit of a tyrant and that type of thing. Everybody knows I will Thanos snap. I would prefer to Thanos snap some of these Hammond eggers out here. You stealing my oxygen and my money, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm not. Have you ever heard me say I'm the leader? I'm the this and that? No, I'm CGA, and I'm trying to safeguard men as much as you think that I don't know about this ism and I ain't never been a player and never had no hoes and I'm a virgin.
I just dropped a hoe out my pocket.
Yeah,
you want it? Here you
despite
go,
the fact that I have 2 children. And so a lot of guys think
Uh-huh.
that, but I'm really out here to safeguard. That's my only thing. I'm here to safeguard. You don't have to agree. And you could go out there and say, screw you. I'm going to try to do what I do. But I would say 90% of guys that say, screw you, I'm going to do what I want to do. They bring their ass right back to my channel and they be like, you was right.
Mr. Highway writes, I mainly look at Coach as an old school anti-marriage paralegal. These boys are wild. He's in a paralegal. They get creative.
I like it.
Man,
that's
good.
good.
Paralegal.
Monetize your creativity.
The rest of his stances are up to your personal tastes / preferences as a man. As a paralegal.
Paralegal. All right. Well, I like that.
Lord. Baller alert. Zenaria writes, you say I never been with a woman because they don't help you build. A woman will do near anything for you if she's emotionally invested. He ain't never lied.
I agree.
As you are more experienced than me, I'm surprised you don't agree.
I agree.
I have been with women who help me make money thanks to the same.
Again, he proved my point. He's proving my point. And see, the thing is, again, a lot of people try to take what you're saying and they keep it in this little vacuum. You're proving my point. He said a woman will do near anything for you if she's emotionally invested. Now, this is why I'm a school guy. First of all, your ass need to learn punctuation and some damn capitalization, but that's neither here or there. You trying to tell me what to do, and you sent $50 of your damn Publix money and your damn Winn-Dixie money trying to tell me what the hell to do. But anyway, when I wrote whole damn books. But look,
man want all the smoke. This man said, if you have smoke, please come forward.
But
load it up.
But see, I agree with him. The problem that he doesn't understand is she ain't gonna be emotionally invested that long. Proof tells you that is not gonna be the case. There ain't been one person on this earth. Look, okay, let me just tell you. This is how I tell my audience: get out a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to write down, and this guy will probably have a shorthand version of this. Write down every woman you've been with, you've bedded, you've played, you've had sex with, you've been in a relationship with, you've married. Go ahead and write that down. Write it down. Write it down. However old you are, you can use the front or back of the paper. Now, draw a line at the end of whoever you wrote down. Tell me who you got right now. And I guarantee you 90% of you will have a fat 0 at the end of that. And so we tell people you're an Owen. You're 0-50 in this attempt, in this endeavor of keeping a woman emotionally invested. So what I'm telling you is you're right in what you're saying, but you're going to have to keep that going. Not one has found one and kept that eternally. You're going to have to understand.
Are you saying that there aren't any men out here who have marriages that have been going for like 50, 60 years?
There are.
Okay. All right.
But are you defining that as success? Or is that part
of? I would say that's successful. Yeah. If you say you're a gentleman, you meet a young lady that sign up for your program and you stay married to her, you know, here you are 50 years later, you're still with her, you got kids, you got a happy family. That's for sure that's success.
I don't define that as success. Many times people stay together for a variety of reasons. I actually put it in my book.
Oh, okay. So you're saying with the caveat that you're happy in the relationship.
You're happy.
The relationship itself is
you're staying for the
success.
kids. There's always people who stay together because, and it's never they're emotionally invested, or rarely ever they're emotionally invested. There's another reason they stayed together. They couldn't afford the divorce, religious reasons, the Jehovah Witness. And before you got to that woman, you were an Owen until you got to that woman. Again, it proves my point. You can have a woman emotionally invested and you can get something from her as long as she's emotionally invested until she's not.
Is your idea that you're going to die alone?
No. Hold on a second. Let me attack this part.
Okay.
Then he says,
so hold on one second. I'm roasting. I'm cooking right now. Hold on, goddamn it.
And then his last statement again proves my point. I've had women help me. Well, that proves my point. You're on board. You've had to duplicate this process over and over again. This kind of fits into my philosophy. Yes, you can do this. Many times it's temporary. As long as you're telling me that it's temporary, then we can be in agreement. If you're telling me this is a long-term strategy, I'm saying you're a fool. Okay. It's not a long-term strategy. This, what you guys are believing in,
there's a time limit on every woman.
It's very short-term. And
how long are you gonna get? How long a run you gonna get out of one of these floozies?
Well, it depends on how you vet, right? Okay. And so again, you could get 10 years, you could get 15, you could get 1 month.
10-year run, a good run, boy.
You could get a good run. But my point of the book, or my point of the philosophy is, a lot of times people put these coulda, woulda, shouldas, and you can, you should. However, you're agreeing with me when we agree that this is a short-term strategy. That might not be beneficial because we're in this long-term game.
Is your suggestion that almost no one has a woman that they've been married to for several decades and they're still in that marriage because they're really still invested in that woman?
Well, we looked at statistics, and that is rarely the case. Many of these people sleep in separate bedrooms. Many of these people have filed for divorces and have talked to attorneys at some particular point. Many of these people have affairs. A lot of people look at their grandparents. I want a marriage like that. Well, your grandpa was a Rolling Stone. He got a whole damn family in Vietnam and you don't know about. He got family around the corner in Columbus, Ohio. Your mama was in these streets. 5 of your damn uncles and aunts ain't even your uncles and aunts. So let's not get that straight. See, this is what people have to understand.
Auntie Niecy, your fake auntie?
She ain't your real biological auntie, and we know these things to be the case. And these people are still together. So they battle through some things, just like young people in our generation of marriages and relationships. We battle through things. Some people stay together through it.
Roberto writes, do you think the greatest of all times, Muhammad Ali, the boxer, was deliberately handicapped by who knows what, because at the time he was speaking facts and truth, so they took his mind away from him? Peace to the saints.
Boy, that's going pretty.
He went for it. Go ahead, coach.
I would have my buttons here. I would probably play this NWO sound effect on that one, but they took his mind away. Listen, that's not far-fetched. I don't know. I can't speak on it. I don't know him.
In short, I will say that when you say they, you'd be referring to the American government. Yeah. And is this beyond the American government in terms of what they have done? Well, they dropped a nuclear bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which was not necessary. They infected black men with syphilis intentionally, which we call the Tuskegee experiment. And I can go on and on. So is it beyond?
Mind control experiments at universities that were funded and known by universities for a long time. So,
is it beyond what is within their wheelhouse? No.
Right.
Robert, okay. TJ writes, since intuition, truly appreciate it. Zenaria is back again, is he? He writes, also, women can help you operate at 120%, 130% by taking care of your basic needs. This is factual.
This is fact.
Don't waste time cleaning a car when you can pay someone to do it while using that time to make money. But I've yet much to learn. Still got my hair. Oh no, he didn't shot it at both of us. You dirty. He didn't. I'm collateral damage. He came for you and just didn't hit me. Why?
I don't know. People don't understand that that's a sign of intelligence and wisdom.
Wow.
But
tell
that's a sign of intelligence and wisdom. So is gray, or it could be a sign of you have a lot of iron in your system. But a lot of intelligent men do tend to be bald. But
Okay, speak on it.
yeah, but his statement is full of a lot of coulds and woulds. I want men to caution yourself for that one. You could do this and she can't do that. Give me the evidence, or we don't speak in hope. We speak in what is.
A woman paid for this whole studio.
There you go. And you got it done.
In real life. And my cars and my house.
There you go. You good.
And clean this whole thing up.
You're in a wonderful place.
But, in real life.
But my man got a
and you heard me in real life.
But my man got a head full of hair over there.
Yeah.
And he's standing over there.
Hey, shout out. I'm about to go get me a wig out here. That's what they doing now. You know that.
I see that.
Boys is wearing wigs. Rob, right. Coach, what are your thoughts on men who want to have children to carry their legacy?
Oh my God.
I'm listening to this one too. Talk to me.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's just break this down. The divorce rate is 50+%. Many divorces that happen with children. They don't happen without children. It's normally we call it the investment stage, the woman here. And then when the children come, we call it the praying mantis. And when she essentially bites the male head off and disappears him from the family. So
have you ever laid a hand across a 304 coach? Have you ever reached back and tested it out on them?
I don't have to. I don't have to pull my pit pan back.
Go ahead.
But in this situation, I think that is hope strategy. It would be great. I would say 18% of American households are households where two people are together, married, and their children live in that household. The rest of American culture is everything but that. We have co-parents, we have step parents involved in families.
Would you recommend it?
Would I recommend it only for their legacy? I'd say you're probably more likely than not to pass your legacy on to your children. You're more likely than not.
Say you didn't have any kids, right?
Yep.
And say you're 30 years old, 2022, you don't have any children.
Yep.
Are you planning to have kids?
You could.
No.
Me.
Given what you know today.
Yes, I can plan to have kids.
We take your mind today with all your wisdom. We implant it in a 30-year-old today who doesn't have any kids, never been married. Are you going to have kids?
I could investigate reasons to have kids, ways to have it other than with the current system. And there's ways to do it.
Would you want to have kids?
Yes.
Okay. How would you go about it?
I understand that. So I could depend on an American woman and roll the dice. We call it rolling the dice. All right, you can roll the dice.
At the craps table.
Yeah, you at the craps table, roll the dice.
Little JoJo.
Yeah. You can roll the dice on that one, which, the statistics are dismal.
Yeah.
And this one, especially if you're a melanated brother.
Okay.
It's dismal. You're talking about 8 out of 10 chance that you're going to be disassociated with that kid.
Okay.
And then there's another chance that another man will be raising that kid. All right. So
I can't have that.
Yeah,
what's the good news though?
So
Coach?
the good news is there's options out there for you. So
All
again, a lot of people think I make complaints and I give you options. I actually rolled it out here. I said you could be you can hire a surrogate. You can hire a surrogate in advance. And
this man then went to the 4th dimension right now. Okay.
So this is what I'm telling you. So at that particular point, you eliminated the chance of having someone divorce you, take your kid, have some other man. So we talk about single motherism, right? I want you to listen.
This man is a single motherism.
Single motherism. So single motherism is so prevalent that men still, even when I bring up the fact, and they will bring up the fact of single mother, and then they'll still want to have babies. But the amount of single mothers out here,
you'd be a single father.
Most men are already single fathers.
So you would set that up as a choice. You would make the choice.
Most men end up in that situation if they do.
So you would go out, get a surrogate, and then raise your kids as a single father.
Many men do that already.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you, Coach.
I would do it. Yes.
Oh, this man.
Now listen.
Okay, I think we found the one impact. We can't come together on this. This man is wild.
It back. Pull your mic.
This
pull
man
your mic
wild.
back. Pull your mic back. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you why people don't do this.
Don't do what?
What I just suggested in terms of being a single surrogate.
Because it's crazy. But go ahead. What's the other reason?
Why is it crazy if most men end up in that position?
That is not logical. You basically said that is not logical.
Hold on for a second.
Hold on one second, Coach. That's not logical.
It's an option.
You said because this is the frequent outcome, why not do it intentionally? That's what you just said.
Yeah, you're better. You're putting yourself in a better position.
You might be in a better position than the unfortunate result of ending up as a single father. If you're driven by fear,
that wouldn't be a fear
of divorce, the fear of alimony, the fear of child support, the fear of the government taking over.
That wouldn't be a fear. That would be, so say for instance, if you had a prenup, which we
Prenups, or it's just a contract?
It's just a contract, but a person that was suggested, that wouldn't be a fear. That would be preparing yourself. So it's not a fear. You're just basically trying to mitigate the damage.
You said if you use a surrogate.
Correct.
Yeah, I know.
Which is popular. It's popularly done, especially with older women.
See, I think that's an unnatural thing. And one thing that I'm very strong on is that which is natural. I don't want to have a society that, what the trans are doing, for example, that's unnatural. And this is akin to that. When you're using science to procreate life, that is not right. And I don't say that from a religious perspective. I say that from a moral foundation. Because it comes to the question of, well, when do we stop? When is too much, right? And I think that's too much. So for me, a moral line is drawn like, no, I'm not going to intentionally bring a child into the world where they don't have a mother and a father. That is itself immoral to me. Now, for example, when you look at the data and you say that there's an 80% fail rate in fill in the blank situation, I've been living at the top 1% of life my whole life. You look at as measured by education, as measured by IQ, tested IQ, not speculated, right? As you measure by income, as you measure by all of the indicators, I've been living at the top 1%. So I would only expect to continue outperforming the indexes that I'm against.
Correct.
That's number one. But yes, when we're talking about average people, when I think that a man be in a good state of affairs to have a surrogate and try to raise the kid on his own, no, I think that kid would suffer with a single father just as much as they would suffer with a single mother. And I think it would be an immoral act to even do that intentionally. I would even find it to be more moral to try to make a go at marriage and end up, falling short of your goal.
That's despicable what we do in our country. And I think it's despicable what we do with kids when we do those things. We get in marriages as an emotional attachment. Then when the emotion runs out, we divorce and we leave the kids hanging and they live out of backpacks for 12 years of their lives. So let me tell you something, that moral line and what's natural, that's against nature. And we do it 80% of the time and 50% American wise. But let me add this. We also use science to keep people alive. And we've been aliving people for a very long time.
I think we need to stop that too.
Exactly. So if we're saying don't bring people in scientifically, well, we've been keeping the people alive.
That's also
one.
And then not also only that, logical.
Yeah. And also, we've used stem cells. At one particular point, that was something that we would never do. And people crossed the line and now we have that. And now they're going above and beyond that. So I think we're at a point now where mostly everything is artificial. And if you bump into a woman today, they damn near artificial from head to damn toe.
Yeah, this is true.
Where are we drawing the line? If you're going to draw the line at me saying surrogate, well, you got Cristiano Ronaldo, who is a very wealthy man at the top 1%. He has had several children through surrogacy. So
and he's an athlete, right? So he's not someone that anyone would look to for the talents of the mind. He is of the talents of the body. So anytime that you have someone referencing an athlete, that is no one to reference in terms of how to live.
Well, it's an example.
And that's kind of similar to what females do when they're foolish enough to reference a celebrity like a Kim Kardashian.
Right.
The society should be led by the wise and knowledgeable men, the men who are philosophers, the men who are moralists, the men who have something to say because they have something that they think. Now, in terms of surrogates, like I wouldn't take that choice away from you, but I damn sure wouldn't promote that. That's crazy as hell. Use a wild boy. Now, Coach Greg Adams over here about to get a penis enlargement. You know what I mean? He said he's using science to he about to get a penis enlargement.
But however, if you're looking at it, if you wanted options, he says he wants a child to carry on his legacy, and I'm showing you what potentially could happen to, not potentially. What's more than likely?
What's more likely? Yeah.
This is more than likely to happen. Yeah. Are you willing to roll the dice against that? And then I say, here's a solution. And what's probably common with my philosophy is I provide a solution. You shoot the solution down and then say, I provide no solutions. I gave you solutions.
You're saying me.
That's what you did. But a lot of people do that because they don't agree with particular solutions that I gave.
Well, you didn't provide a solution. You provide an option. So
which would be a solution.
No, an option is not always a solution. A solution solves a problem. An option is a choice. So what you do with your option is you create other problems. It is a very peculiar affair for a child to be born and say, who's my mother? Oh, you don't have a mother. I mean, that causes psychological turmoil. And I'll tell you how we know this from the facts.
You say what I want you to say here.
I used to run a nonprofit at Johns Hopkins Medical. We had a gentleman come in who was a Yale neuroscientist. He runs a place called the Montana Academy. He identified 3 major reasons that people break, which is they fall apart psychologically and engage in self-destructive behaviors. One of the major reasons that they break is parent abandonment. Just imagine, though, if you never had a parent, because one of the subcategories he defines within that is kids who are adopted, meaning they don't know who their parents are. So they weren't abandoned as far as they know, because they were adopted at birth, but they don't know who their quote unquote real parents are. There's serious psychological trauma that goes from what do I come from and not knowing the answer to that. So when you've brought in a kid under a surrogate mother, you've denied them the natural right of knowing what they come from.
I see what you're saying. I understand this. In our culture, we do this to men overwhelmingly. We basically say, "Your father ain't, you came from no father.
Your
father
daddy
left,
ain't shit. And he broke.
X, Y, and Z." So in our
And he
culture,
bald.
any ball, he old, he's
Yeah.
a cheater, he's
Yeah.
this and that. So when you talk about abandonment, the guy that wants to carry on his legacy is more likely to have a child that he brought in, and he's more likely to have that child suffer psychologically from abandonment. So we do this as a culture. What you're suggesting that he doesn't do is what we subscribe to as a culture.
No,
And,
there's a difference between abandonment and a marriage breaking.
No. For a second, most of the time, we're talking about people who haven't even got married. All right, that procreates, which is a
For
moral.
sure, yeah, for sure.
Another, if we're so, I tell my audience, I'm not a moral person. If you come to me with morality as something to hang your hat on,
Coach has no morals.
I'm on the dark side.
Make a meme.
Yeah, I'm on the dark side.
I have no morals.
I'm on the logical side. I'm
Uh-huh.
on to providing a quicker solution as opposed to drawing back to morals, because your morals are not my morals, and my morals are not your morals. So
that's for sure.
I can't draw the line there because you thump a Bible. I can't draw the line there because I might not thump that Bible.
We've not referenced any religious text.
I know, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, okay, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm saying a lot of times they will hang their hat on that, and that's not where I'm going to hang my hat. So that's where your problem's going to be.
For sure.
Right. So
that's why
I can't meet you
ism.
there.
Yeah.
Yes, like I can't meet you there. And since I can't meet you there, nothing you say will bring me back to that point.
But before we carry on, let me ask you this. Is there any logic to having a legacy? Because once you're dead, you're dead.
You're dead. And many times you might have a daughter. There goes your legacy right there. I mean, so if you have a daughter and no other children,
and she gets disappointing.
and she no longer, or let's just say you have a daughter and she said, "I don't wish to carry your name forward." That's the end.
Yeah.
You're dead and you're a memory. Also.
So is there such thing as having a legacy? Because when I die, I don't care what's going on. I'm out of here.
Well, people are very egotistical. We talk about death on my channel. I sort of make fun of it, but I say, listen, I know you're sensitive about it, but I think we're all going to experience this.
For sure.
Nobody got out alive. Nobody gets out alive. So
some of us sooner than others.
You know what I mean? But you never know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I want people to be comfortable with it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want you to be that egotistical. But with that being said, if you did have a legacy, would you know about it? Probably not. You'd be taking a dirt nap.
Right.
Also, some people get their legacies busted even after their death. So you can have one, and then people come after your name after the fact. Yeah. So there's a bunch of things that people have. I think the ego is big. Speaking about a philosophy, ego is big. So people do want to believe that they live after. But many times, most people that have lived, they have died. Most people have taken their dreams to their grave. Just do what you can, when you're here. And that's all I worry about sometimes when I'm talking. Yeah.
Jabari writes, what are your thoughts on men going to other countries for love? I was waiting for it. That's love. An option. But knowing love, that all women aren't different, but move differently.
I don't disagree with going to other countries. I don't know about for love.
Yeah,
for love, I think people do find that they go over there and they find people that will use love as a way to attach to you. But what they're doing is guarding. Essentially, they're trying to not let other people next to you. They'll follow you around like a kitten. They'll give you pedicures and manicures and massages. And it simply boils down to the economy. It's economics. You're a damn wallet to them. So.
Steve Rowland sends intuition. Oh boy. You know, the funny thing too, and I was just recently explaining this to a female. Love is garbage. Respect is everything.
Boy, as much as people think we disagree.
Yeah, I don't care anything about your love.
I don't need love. I don't
tears.
Need that. No, I can find some love other ways if I need to.
But run me that respect though.
I need that.
Chris writes, I love seeing creators have respectful dialogue with seeing y'all too, and seeing Fresh and Fit have AMS on the show. It's good seeing my brothers lead us.
We need this.
Do they disagree with AMS or something?
I think he was on the show recently. So
yeah, but they said like,
did they disagree? I don't know if they disagree. I can't follow too much.
Yeah. Shout out to AMS, fellas. Questions for CGA. You afraid of a little scrumdiddlyumptious belly deli?
He's referring to another clip. So yes, we tell a lot of guys. A lot of guys are out here with subpar women claiming to have receipts, and they're out here with low hanging fruit. You're out here with
what makes your low hanging fruit?
Potentially, if you evaluate her lifestyle, if you look at the things that she should bring, and you start saying, "I'll overlook that." Overlook the fact that she's overweight. Now, listen, if you like overweight women, you part of the nasty boys. Right. We call them the nasty boys. You guys go ahead. Shout out to the nasty boys. But that is an indicator. That is an indicator. And then thus, many of these people can't provide you much value because they can't even provide value to themselves. So I would say at that particular point, she's low hanging fruit and becomes easy target for guys who say they run game and got the ism.
Do you deal with thick women?
Well, what's thick?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, what is thick?
Let's talk about it.
All right, thick. Look, I've seen some people call some people some thick.
Look,
and they looking like a damn bowl of melted chocolate pudding pop bars and sloppy yogurt.
Young lady last night she was like, yeah, I couldn't believe that Kevin Samuels was found with such a big girl. I know that he doesn't believe in that. I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if you have to believe in it, but clearly he must have been tearing that down that night. I mean, such that it might have caused him a heart attack. It was a heavy lifting.
Yes, he was. Yes,
it was heavy lifting.
He was in his wheelhouse. So
now let me let you guys know the big homie. You heard me? I take him thin, thick, tall, small. You heard me? I'm a savage out here. I got a king's appetite. You heard me? So as long as the wagon go out farther than the stomach, we can work.
That would be there. That's right. Yeah.
As long as the breasts go out farther than the stomach, we can work. I'm a real man out here. Some of these guys can't deal with it. How thick can she be, Coach?
Body size proportionate if you want to claim it as success. If you can't, if it's belly's out in front of the breast, which a lot of you guys are doing and claiming you're successful. What I'm going to tell you is you need to get your leverage and options up. So that's all.
Jehu writes, the best solution is to find a young, fertile woman outside of the United States, preferably UAE, Philippines, Iran, and Singapore. Bruh, I'm not signing off on UAE. Maybe in Abu Dhabi, but in Dubai, nah, I'm out, bro. I can't sign off on that one, Playboy. Nah, some of the most materialistic Muslims I've ever seen.
I was just talking about that. I was like, boy, you're gonna better have big bank account.
The tremendous bank accounts.
That guys in America don't understand that.
Right.
I'm like, because I talk about Middle Eastern women, and I'm like, you got to have money, but money in a sense that you don't understand.
Right.
It's you don't understand the money. It's money you don't have in bank accounts, like that type of money.
And the trippy thing is, if you're gonna go get one of those niqabis in Islam, it says that a woman is not required to spend any money, and if she is to earn money, she can keep it wholly for herself. So the money got to be different. Ibrahim writes, thoughts on men who don't have children. Aren't we all here on earth for that reason? I would like to hear from both of you gentlemen.
There's a lot of men that don't have children. I think over time, somebody could say 60% of men have never procreated, as opposed to 80% of women have procreated. So most men live and die. Some men live and die never getting to touch a woman. So listen, in earlier times where we were unstable, a man would be thrown in a war at 15 years old. He ain't never touched a woman in his life. Think of cultures that have had great leaders or kingdoms. Men at the bottom ain't never touched no woman, and he never was going to. And I think that's kind of where we're headed. A lot of people are having this struggle, and the virginity rate of Generation Z is so high. It's the highest it's ever been. And at the same time, they have the lowest testosterone rates of any men in this culture. So you think about what's going on here. And here's the deal. We're here for a greater purpose than on the context of women, but we also here to procreate. But that's nature's trick. It's a trick by nature. They infuse you with testosterone and lust, and then they provide the woman with that sweet, sweet, sugary walls, and you want to go in there and you want to bust inside. Now, if you pull out, guess what? There's no babies. All right. So, but if you keep it in there and you let you come inside, guess what's going to happen? You have procreation many times, but not most. So listen, man, it's all what it is. Like, listen, there's only a 1 day window a woman can actually get pregnant. It increases if you.
Don't say that, bro. You about to have everybody shooting the club up. But come on, coach.
But this is why you have to know what you're dealing with. A lot of times when women do experience that ovulation, she is more likely to insert herself into your life. She's more likely to say, come slide through. She's more likely to be flirtatious. And so this is what we tell guys. Hey, if a lot of women are being flirtatious towards you, that's when you need to protect yourself, because that is her increasing her chance of procreation.
Yeah, man. I find it really, in some ways, primitive in a bad way, that the drive to spread your seed, because once you're dead, you're dead.
Right.
And as much as people might want to call me narcissistic or arrogant, I don't find any particular unique pleasure from, like, oh, that's like my son just made that basket. Like, he has my face and looks like me. It's like me doing something. And I think that really has to be the driving force, because once you're dead, you're out of here.
Correct.
So when people are talking about legacy, I really don't comprehend it beyond the years that you're alive.
Yeah, I think it's a selfish drive. Let's see, when the man says, I want to have children, and he's definitely not in the economic position to most guys that say I want to leave a legacy can't leave a legacy any other way but producing children. So that's a red flag for these guys. But
that was deep.
Yeah, but that because they're not in an economic position to do so much so that when I mention surrogacy and they say, well, it costs 120 grand up front, and I say, well, if that's a deterrent for you, you shouldn't be having kids,
Right?
Because it's going to cost 250 grand, and then if don't get divorced or don't have that, you're going to pay in excess to 300 for however many kids you have. You're talking about $500,000 proposition here. So if you're too broke to have a surrogate, you're too broke to have kids. But that's neither here nor there. What most people want in terms of men, they want their kid to be them. They want to see if they can produce the next Michael Jordan.
Right.
They want to go to their AAU game and see that kid tearing everybody up.
Right.
Guess what? They're going to go to AAU game and your kid going to be ass on the bench.
Get flamed.
And now what you doing? Yeah. That's the kid now that you have to support. That's the kid you buying shoes for. And that kid don't get up off the bench. Now you done left the legacy, but your legacy is bench warming.
Get this, what's wrong with this man? This man is trying to destroy everybody's dream. The dream killer is here. The dream killer has arrived.
But hey, go do you guys. I listen. I don't blame people for having that, but I'm just saying, be ready to pay.
There you go. Sibo writes, I preface with, I haven't seen much of CGA, but what I hear seems to be from a position of fear/losing. I'm all about logic/risk mitigation, but it seems to me your strategy falls to not playing the game for fear of losing the game.
Boy, I mean, listen, this is why you can't judge a man from a 1-hour podcast. This is why I write books. This is why I continue to do my show. So yes, it might seem that way, but a man has to make an investment. And what I found that many men don't make investments. And this is the failure of man. So I would suggest to you that you invest in the message just a little bit more before you pass the judgment. I haven't passed judgment on you, but you've passed judgment on me, but I placed myself in that position. But you can't learn everything from a YouTube video. So I would try to tell you, go ahead and spend a little bit more money to invest in the message. And you might find that you're more on par with me than you believe.
James writes, so after you easily refuted CGA's surrogacy option, he has no other solution to men wanting kids.
He didn't even get there.
He's just as lost as the women he criticizes. Peace to the saints.
So we didn't even get to that point.
Okay,
listen, we had the time. So I provided one solution, and then you never said, what's the other one? We went on to the other.
What's the other solution?
The other one is there's plenty of situations that men do fall into a mixed family, if you want kids like that.
What's
or
a mixed family?
They might fall into a situation where they have a family overseas. There's a lot of men who have family overseas. Now watch this.
That's ruthless. I might try that out though, because I am about to go on another trip, and I'm look.
now the obvious objection to the men having family overseas, which a lot of men do, and your grandfather has family overseas, but that's neither here or there.
Right.
If he was in the military, he got family
Vietnam,
overseas. Yeah. But a lot of the objection is going to be, well, I'll never get to see that kid. How am I going to see that kid? I want to see my kid every day. Well, there's a lot of men in America that never see their kids, and their kids live right around the corner. They have to beg them on social media to see their kids.
Yeah.
There's people that can work this situation out. It's workable where you can have the kid all summer, take 4 trips. You're guaranteed to see that kid more than most men in America see that kid.
Is it appropriate to see your kid every day? Like, is that like a necessity for the development of the kid?
So here,
I've doubted that. You have more experience than me.
No.
I'm sincerely asking, like, because I'm like, that doesn't seem like that's
there's
necessary.
Most married men don't see their kids on a daily basis, especially if they have an authoritative position in their house. They're focused on the work.
Yeah.
They might be traveling.
Yeah.
So a father might not see his kid even in a household marriage. So a lot of people, again, since they don't have the experience of fatherhood, they have hope And hope is not a strategy. When I give you these scenarios, I'm giving them from experience, not just my experience, but other people's experiences. When I suggest that you can have a family overseas and see your kid more than you would see them around the corner in Milwaukee. Okay. This is a serious solution. So yes, he might have refuted or disagreed with my surrogacy. I came with more options. There's more options than that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of like this have family overseas option. I'm
Okay, so
not
there you
gonna
go.
lie to you.
Yeah.
And just for a moment,
Right.
this is not the saint side. This is the sinner side.
This is center side, yeah.
You traveling. You just happen to be in Sweden. You heard me. You go ahead,
a couple
bust
Nordic
off.
chicks, yeah.
Woo-wee.
Them big warriors, and then you come back and your kid coming back,
You feel
be
me?
the next Giannis. I don't know, whatever it is, but at
Man.
that situation, those are solutions that people don't want to visit.
The Charlotte agent writes, awesome session. What advice would you give to up and coming content creators for growing their platforms, especially the relationship manhood space?
Oh man, well, I would try to caution the relationship manhood space unless you're going to be excellent. And I'll also tell you, if you're going to be a creator, start creating 90 days in a row. I actually have the 90-day contract with yourself, which you basically are going to provide content to the space or whatever space you're trying to do. And I always tell people, nobody's going to see it anyway, so make your mistakes. But get into the mold of being able to post, edit, do all of these things now so that when the ball's rolling, it's like the back of your hand and you grow to understand how to do it and get content out quicker. The relationship manhood space, I find that there's a lot of people that don't provide crap to the space. So, and the space is being heavily censored. So I don't know if that's the lane for you.
You ain't lied about that. Sibo writes, CGA speaks truth to my statement, but I say to that, we all make surface judgments and use those to allocate our resources, mental and physical.
Correct.
Piece of the saints.
And you can choose to invest or not, but I won't lose sleep. But you do what you do, guys. Keep doing you.
Well, got it.
Right. Your legacy has to do with your bloodline. I've seen bloodlines leave this earth. That's why I have 6.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
He's concerned. Yeah, he wants his bloodline. Yeah.
I'm not concerned with my bloodline being on the earth. I feel like it's not rational, and it's like it's an uninformed form of self
egotistical.
Yeah.
I think it does boil down to the ego. I think we don't understand death enough to really put it in perspective.
Like you done.
I'm like you getting a dirt nap. You know what I mean? That's all you're getting. You know what I mean? Then the maggot's gonna get your body. But a lot of people think that they're gonna live forever and they're gonna be watching from the clouds while their legacy continues, and you'll be interested in it. You'll be like monitoring, moving around. You're like, what I mean?
Like The Sims. Like
you're in the sim world. You're just watching up here, like, there they are. They're doing fantastic. Oh, they're struck. I don't think that's the case. And even if there was an afterlife, I don't think you'd be interested in what's going down out here.
Exactly. I'm trying to mess with these thick angels out
that's
here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Joshua comes through with the baller alert. He writes, "Peace of the Saints. Read the Black Box and Free Agent Lifestyle." This man is a scholar.
That's it. He's on it. That's good.
He writes different philosophies, but both great reads. The Black Box resonates with me more because I believe it's more practical and natural of how to be a leader as a man. I appreciate that. Shout out. And you can get both of our books on Amazon. You type in Free Agent Lifestyle
on Amazon.
On Amazon, it actually like pops right up, and we've also linked it in the description. And if you want the Black Box, you can get the Black Box on Amazon. Just type in Marquett Burton, the Black Box. Appreciate that. And that is an intelligent man right there. That is an intelligent, informed.
Well, this space is filled with a lot of intelligent men that watch, and their contributions are via, supporting our message
in a real way. Shout out to Dorian. He writes, "Peace to the Saints," question in the chat. So if you see Dorian's question in the chat, feel free to pop it up. And Saints, if you see it, just go ahead and repost that for him.
And actually saw, was that a question? I can't remember. Oh, they were talking about passing on bloodlines and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, I think if you're consciously looking to pass on bloodlines and all that stuff, being is con. You can do it all out of the context of marriage and procreate, knock up women left and right. But then you want to pour morality over passing on legacy, which is probably a religious-based morality. And then you say, well, with one woman, no, well, good luck, man. Listen, if I'm gonna go pass on legacy, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go all over the world, being around the world, and and I'll procreate like crazy, like Genghis Khan.
I hate to admit it, but in terms of having kids, it has crossed my mind that I like, look, I might as well just
let it rip.
Yeah. Come here. Tap her on the shoulder.
That's a legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as close to, yeah.
It didn't cross my mind
Right.
during these travels, coach. It didn't cross my mind. Like, that's my Asian kids, that's my Black kids, that's my Latino kids.
For real.
That's my white kids.
That's a legacy.
You know,
that's a hell of a legacy.
It didn't cross my mind. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yep.
Now, coach, one thing I would like to know from you is I was gonna ask you how to get over vices, but what was your biggest vice that you've had as you've evolved?
Gosh, I mean, that's interesting. This goes back to, I saw a funny comment on there that was to me, and it was something like me being an empty vessel and whatnot. And it also speaks to,
what does that mean?
I don't know what they meant, but it was a woman.
Okay, I thought you were
yeah, but it was a woman. He
okay.
said he's an empty vessel. Well, first you have to understand that, like, I know what I like and that I don't like. Also know how to empathize. Know how to empathize and sympathize, but very little. Very, very little.
He said, I have no sympathy.
I have no sympathy for people who have vices when you were told to stay away from them, right? Okay. You hot stove and touched. And we sat in the DARE program, and the mascot came and they told your ass not to do drugs, and your dumb ass did it. And your ass became a cancer to everybody's life and tore everybody's life down. And you want me to feel sorry for you. Well, I don't. And in essence, the best way to avoid vices is not to start them. I've never done drugs. I don't.
Can I send my hoes to you to just so you, so you can tear their soul out?
Rip their soul out. Yeah.
Greg, tear their soul out. Send them back to me when you're done.
In that situation, like, you know what I mean? People want me to care.
Yeah.
And be that as it may, I don't. And it's sad, I know, from your perspective, but look at me and look at you. You clicked on my face. I've never watched anything you've done, nor would I be interested in, but that's neither here or there. With that being said, with that being said, try not to get into vices. And this is where you have kids, and when you have leadership, you would actually try to not get them into vices. Therefore, they wouldn't be the dumbasses, the ham and eggers that get into vices. So I like candy. I like Jolly Rancher gummies.
Oh, you do?
I love. Is it Jolly Rancher gummies? I think I can't remember.
I
Lightsaber gummies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'll tear them up.
Okay.
Right? Now, that would be an addiction to me.
All right.
Is it harmful? Yes, but it keeps my dentist paid.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm probably not going to be out of the control that you guys go out there and celebrate every weekend with nothing to celebrate about and poison yourself on a daily basis. And then you want me to feel sorry for your broke ass. And I won't. See, I try to get people not to do that. I try to get my kids not to do that. But if they chose to walk that path, I say, damn, well, there's consequences and repercussions to that.
Yeah.
So vices are rough. If you got a pornography addiction, you need to kick it. But the reason why it's so hard to kick it is because you shouldn't have started it in the first place. Damn.
You know what I want to do with you, bruh? This is what I want to do. You know how in high school they had the award, like, most likely to succeed, like most likely to
right.
You know, we need to do an award show for the manosphere.
Oh, yeah.
I used to think I was most likely to say something ruthless, but that's you for sure.
I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit. I don't know, but I try to say it in a way where I don't curse or get too emotional about it.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I don't try to do that, but really people think that I don't care. They think that I really care, and it's an act. But I will drive by your ass, you'll be on fire, and I wouldn't even whip my wheelie out to piss the fire out. I will keep it moving because I'm on a mission.
There you go.
And most of you guys aren't on a mission.
Rain Man writes, peace to the saints. If a man wants marriage, what is best for asset protection? I like CGA to answer first, then Marquett. I don't think CGA. Oh, wow.
I don't think he has a real solution.
Wowzer.
Yeah. Well, he's never been in a family court. He's never understood this. You never met with a lawyer. Have you ever met with a lawyer? Have you ever met with a lawyer, divorce attorney, or what you're proposing here? You're more likely to hear what I have to say. I'm sorry, you were more likely to hear my response when they tell you the reality of that situation than anything else. So, I mean, it just speaks to the non-experience that you have. I would tell you, if you do go the side of asset protection, it could get kicked out of court, or better yet, which most people don't understand, anything can be challenged in court if someone does sue you for it. So I could have an ironclad prenup. But if the woman is foolish enough to contest the prenup, you got to pay the cost for the contested prenup. So is the prenup valid? It could be, because if they contested it and throw the case out, your prenup will stand. However, you spent the court costs and the time to fight the battle because she was foolish enough to think that she could defend you or beat you. So was it worth it to have the ironclad prenup, or was it worth the asset protection? Everything could be contested, and this is what people don't understand about law.
Yeah.
A person sues you doesn't mean they have a legit reason to sue you. The court will hear.
And businessmen
anything.
understand that better
See,
than
this is
anybody,
what people
right?
see.
Yeah, businessmen
People
know that.
they don't
Yeah.
understand that, and most people settle. Like, say for instance, I had an asset protection plan, and I put it in front of the woman. We married. We divorced. She contests it. Most men will fight it and say F that B, but some men will say F that B, but some men will say all right.
Right.
They'll settle.
For sure.
And they still, so was the asset protection worth it? You
Right.
see what I mean? So it's not a clear and cut and dry answer. You want a solution on a YouTube video. Why don't you invest some money to meet with a divorce attorney instead of using the opinions of us as the end all be all? That's what I would tell you. And I tell everybody that in my books, and I would tell everybody that on my video. I actually have a free book that tells everybody, go meet with a lawyer. I'm not the end all be all, but I'm telling you the experience here because I'm handsome enough for you to click on my face. But anyway.
In short, there are a number of tactics you can utilize. And one thing we know for sure is there's asset protection and then there's asset invisibility. It's one thing to protect a known target. That's difficult. It's quite easy to protect a target people don't know about. And there are options that you can take. And obviously, if you wanted to take those, you'd want to have a conversation, one-on-one in private. And as far as attorneys have, for the most part, limited knowledge. If you get to a very high level attorney, they can make recommendations and introductions to you. When you have an accountant and attorney, they're a part of your team, and the best one is able to say, "Hey, man, look, I can tell you how to litigate this if it goes to divorce court, but I can also recommend you to this banker in this particular locality who can set you up with X, Y, and Z." Like, they're a part of a team, and they know how to get things done. That's really what you want.
One more thing to that. A lot of times what men find out is when they go this route that some attorneys are a part of the bar association, and they kind of work in collaboration to keep men in a financial position to pay, right? Most litigation in these divorces that you're trying to say are brought forth by women.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So
overwhelming majority.
We're talking about 80-90%. If women were unable to bring these cases forward, there would be no court, there would be no attorneys, these people wouldn't have jobs. In essence, their solution sometimes, and you'll find this, I've had attorneys tell me, well, just pay the money, don't fight.
I've been told that more than to fight.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I've been told that
for sure.
In terms,
and I'm not talking about in terms of women, just in general.
And sometimes, it's better to just pay the money. So in essence, you might think these attorneys are going to give you advice to asset protect, but their real key is to keep these things going. Their money is in bringing women to the court. Their money is not into keeping men protected, and you will find that.
Fair enough. Shout out to Lucifer. He comes in with another baller alert. I think we all know Lucifer got it. Like, people be saying they got it, they ain't really got it. He got it.
He got it. Yeah, he be on other people trying to get it too. He be dropping it.
Yeah, he got it.
Yep.
He write, money invested, buy Lambos, travel, and young peace leave. Hey, there you go. He said, go turn up with this.
Turn up.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, I'm not against that.
Shout out to Marquise. He just got conference 1, 1, and 2 footage, which you can get at marquettdavon.com. Great information if you want to start a product-based business, if you want to know how to manage your relationships. Highly recommend it. Foundational stuff right there. Thank you for the support. And a lot of people I know in the chat have already purchased conference 1, 2, or 3 footage, and so they can attest to the quality there. Anthony writes, what is the best way to get into technology? That's quite a broad question.
That's going to be for you, because I don't have any. Yeah.
I'd say the best way for you to get into technology, I recommend that you go on Angel List, look into some startups that are in bleeding edge industries like fintech or financial technology, cybersecurity. I think those are 2 great places to start. And I would look at their job listings for internships and see what you can do. Ideally, one that's near you so you can show up in person. Drizzt writes, for me, bloodlines aren't about the afterlife. It's more about my bloodline is strong enough to lead the future of man. I wish to be like Genghis.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. That's a solution.
NBA Mastermind writes, I watched both of you. The first time you heard of each other, what's one thing that intrigued you the most? That's a great question.
That is a great question. I saw you cooking the hell out of a YouTuber.
Out of a YouTube. Oh yeah.
I saw,
boy.
yeah, and I was like, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I was like, this is interesting. And then I think the next other video, I don't know if it was before or after, there was a light-skinned, red bone feminist in her living room with the Christmas lights on in March. Yeah, that one, that was the one. Yeah.
You know what I really appreciate is that you look square in the camera, you give good information from a seasoned perspective.
Yeah.
You're not angry, you're not yelling, you don't seem bitter, you throw some humor in there periodically. It's good information that, for the most part, professors can appreciate other professors when they have a different area of expertise.
Right.
And whereas I look at a lot of YouTubers, I'm like, I'm your favorite YouTuber. I'm pretty sure I said that in my last stream. Tell them to quote your boy. But we're talking about two different things. And then also you're in advance of me in terms of certain experiences. And I appreciate that I can get that information from someone who's serious about it.
Yeah. And I actually said in the stream probably about it. I can't remember probably when I saw that. I was like, there's a content creator that's probably one of the most intelligent here with the background that he has educationally, his experience, business experience, and all that type of stuff. So a lot of guys don't have any experience. They go under pseudonyms and names and protections and whatnot. And sure, I mean, I understand trying to protect yourself and whatnot, but then their stories don't line up real fast. Real fast. You start investigating, they looking like, they looking like a maze. And who the hell is this person? So
you ain't never lied.
Yeah.
Maurice writes, shout out to the coach gang. My money for child support is my representation. I won't be led by anyone but me. I hear you on that one, bro.
Hey.
NBA Mastermind is back. He writes, coach often laughs at us saying that we have a 99% relationship fail rate. How does that resonate with Marquett? I think when you look at life, there are some things where 99% fail rate is fine. For example, in business, when I tell you to create 10 products, create 11 products, well, you only need to be successful with one. Now you've created a multi-million-dollar foundation that's going to last you over a lifetime. And even if for some reason that multi-million-dollar foundation withers away, you now have the skill so that you can recreate very quickly. And the nature of life is that you will suffer ill health. You will suffer loss of your loved ones. You will suffer all of these different things. I'm not concerned about the 99%. I'm concerned about the 1%. And how do you race through the 99% so you can enjoy the 1%, make it last as long as possible? So I get that. There's wisdom in that. And one thing that, coach points out is that, sometimes it's young men talking to someone who's more experienced, and you just understand when you get older, if ever, so there's truth in both of what we're saying. So there's truth and then there's perspective. And then there's also focus. Like, for example, one teacher walks into a public school in Baltimore. Like, God damn, there's like 8 kids in here who are just crazy in this classroom. Another teacher walks in, he says, yes, and there's 28 kids who are doing exactly what you want them to do. They're focused, they're learning, they're taking notes. And so there's truth, there's perspective and focus. And so
I want people to understand, a lot of times people think when I say 99% failure rate is to not try. What I would tell you is don't let it break you.
Right.
I mean, a lot of you guys are hoping that this is the last one, and it isn't statistically, and it breaks you. You know what I mean? I don't want men to be broken out here because of these things happen. You're dealing with some very fickle people.
Yes.
In these times, these women are fickle as hell. They change their opinion, hopefully as much as they change their underwear, and even that is probably not as accurate, because some of these girls walk around here with dirty drawers and y'all be down trying to get at them, and they ain't wiped their rear end good. I'm just letting you know.
Gang writes, pre-anticipating is part of the free agent lifestyle.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
Rainman writes, CGA did all the talking with no solution for asset protection. Maybe that's why his ex-wife played him in court for over 60K. An incel with money doing live streams in a game chair is still an incel. Peace to the saints.
I'm actually a virgin too. And I've had 2 children through the Immaculate Conception. So whatever he says is true.
It's smoke going back and forth out here, man. I'm just the moderator. Killian writes, oh, okay. Okay. Ricky writes, I guarantee you hate super chats on coach. Excuse me. I guarantee you the hate super chats on coach are from AJ Beta Weak Self. Peace to the saints and shout out to CGA.
Man, that's the business. I ain't getting into this, man.
Fair enough. I just for the record, I don't know what any of this is about. I just don't want you guys to think I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to carry on though. We are over the time that you have allocated us, so please forgive me on that one.
Right.
So we need to end right now. I just want to I want to thank you for number one, blessing me with this book, Free Agent Lifestyle, Men's Guide to Peace, Quiet, and Freedom. Bro, you ain't never lied. I be sometimes just thinking like, if you don't shut your...
Well, that's what we try to tell men about. We try to tell you what men want ultimately is peace, quiet, and freedom.
I mean, I damn near first I be thinking about killing her, then I be thinking about killing me. You know what I'm saying? It get that bad where I'm like, okay, I
don't want men to put themselves in that position.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself into that.
I hear you now. This is a beautiful cover too. I actually like that. I like the warmth of the kind of like the sun in the background. I feel like I didn't experience this a couple of times in life.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of men haven't traveled. They haven't done these things without the context of women. And so everything we do is in the context of women. I tell guys, man, do yourself first, man. Well, pause.
Right.
Do yourself first.
Right. Pamela Henderson.
Yes, right.
You know, that's such a good point because often a lot of our activities are circled around meeting a woman, slaying
where the hoes
a
at.
woman. Yes,
yeah. And I again, this is kind of where, you agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cautionary tale for men that they lose themselves in that and they can't even enjoy life out of the context of women. And I think that's concerning.
Right.
You can't even go on social media without looking for big booty hoes. And I think that's concerning.
No, you're right. I mean, we've even had we host movie nights, and there happened to be a couple of chicks there. They weren't invited; they happened to be there. And Kat's like, "Oh, that's a cock fest." I'm like, "We're here to watch a movie and then have a discussion about the movie."
Right.
Not everything is about getting laid.
Exactly.
And it's always the cats who are probably incels who are saying this anyways. These the internet guys. Oh my god. But Coach, I want to thank you for coming here, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing humor and perspective. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. And anything you need from me. If you need me to show up, if you need a restaurant recommendation in Saint City, you heard me. If you need the Saints to pull up, you dig.
That's right.
We're out here to show you love. We're so happy that you're in a part of the city. You definitely increased the IQ in the city. So thank you. It's all love.
Man, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yes. See how men can get together.
Oh yeah,
and spread this information out here without being in each other's neck. In
a real way. Peace to the Saints. Shout out to the free agents. Free agent lifestyle for life.